Wallstreet Bets is a Reddit community where users talk about trading ideas and strategies. If you know anything about Reddit, you might be able to predict that the discussions on Wallstreet Bets don't sound quite like office meetings or discussions between financial managers. Instead, humor and novel ideas are just as valuable as analytics and historical insights. The community started in 2012 and over the years developed its own culture, which encouraged an all-in or YOLO mindset. Naturally, most of the members were people who found traditional Bloomberg-like investment talk bland, and so out-of-the-box ideas and bold moves gained plenty of support. The community grew steadily over the years before the recent events with Gamestop took place. Since then, the community itself has blown up. Hey, this is Josh from Phemex team. Before we start, please click on the like button, subscribe to our channel, turn on alerts, and share this video with your friends. Also, if you haven't checked out Clubhouse, consider seeing what the new social media platform has to offer. And if you're already in, consider following Phemex CEO Jack Tao. Here's a picture of his profile so that you can find him easily. And if you follow him, take a screenshot, upload it to the form we set in the description of this video, and you'll get a special trading bonus. And don't forget to turn on alerts to receive notifications when he starts a live stream. At the end of the video, we'll ask you a question related to today's topic. Leave your answers below with your UID of Phemex, and we'll choose 5 lucky winners to get a special trading bonus. Now, let's start. What's Wallstreet Bets' motivation, and how can they manipulate the market? Some people might be suspicious about this community's motivation to cause such waves in the financial world. Though, if you look closely, despite how surprising it was, it seems to have come together rather organically. And although it involved plotting by group members, calling it a conspiracy would be quite a stretch. It certainly appears to be a straightforward and rather impressive display of, let's stick it to the greedy hedge funds, in addition to some other motivations such as sentimental feelings about Gamestop, some actual faith in the business, and a whole lot of mob-like frenzy. But how can they have the power to manipulate the market and deliver a huge blow to financial hedge funds? You'll find a lot of people surprised about this. But I'd guess the least surprised group would be the members of Wallstreet Bets and even the larger Reddit community in general. After all, Reddit isn't only the world's biggest meme generator, it has the force of a large, uncensored, often mischievous, and usually bored community. When people get together in a social group, interesting things can happen. So what happened with GameStop? The community of Wallstreet Bets had a little over 1 million users at the beginning of January. But like a match starting a forest fire, a popular post started a movement in the community. More posts followed up with further support. The idea spread outside of Wallstreet Bets onto other social media platforms, and new users joined the community in hordes. Influencers took notice and backed the idea, and on it grew. So, what was the main idea? I'll give you a short answer. GameStop, which mostly sells physical copies of games from actual stores, like the kind you actually walk into. Like you have to leave your house. Weird, right? So GameStop had been in steady decline for years due to the continuously more accessible ability to simply purchase and download digital copies of your games from your console or computer. So naturally, large hedge funds saw this decline and couldn't see any reason for it to be reversed, so they decided to short GameStop shares. So, a real quick explanation of short selling. The short seller will borrow shares of a stock that must be returned at a later date. Then they sell the shares for market price, expecting that the price will drop, and then they can buy back the shares for a cheaper price by the time they need to return them to the lender. Of course, if the short seller's prediction is wrong, there's essentially no limit to how much they can lose, because no matter how much the price of the shares increases, they still need to buy them back to return them to the lender. So back to Wallstreet Bets and GameStop. Some big hedge funds decided to short GameStop since its stocks seemed to be falling helplessly. But some members of Wallstreet Bets took note of what was happening and proposed joining together in a movement to make the hedge funds lose tons of money while also gaining money for Wallstreet Bets members. The proposition sparked the passions of the group with all the fervor of an oppressed underclass overthrowing the evil elite. It had all the right components. The good side, which you were included in as a member of the group. The bad side, greedy hedge fund managers. And it even had a maiden in distress, Gamestop. And to top it all off, a surprisingly solid plan for pulling it off. Gamestop went on to reach a peak of almost $350 on January 27th. And the hedge funds, in turn, took huge hits, with one hedge fund, Melvin Capital, being forced to take a $2.75 billion bailout from other hedge funds. Wallstreet Bets, in turn, has experienced such constant and rapid growth that they had to temporarily close the community off from new members. Currently, Wallstreet Bets has about 8.5 million members. So, from the general Wallstreet Bets perspective, it has been a huge victory of the little guys against the elite. Of course, those involved with the hedge funds see it as a dangerous practice in need of regulation. And the opinion of the majority of people not associated with either group differs even further. Yet, the debate about Wallstreet Bets versus hedge funds isn't the only controversy that arose from this situation. The story isn't complete without mentioning the trade halting that it triggered. So, Robinhood is probably the name you've heard associated with this, because it sort of grew up along with Wallstreet Bets and has been a primary tool for Wallstreet Bet members. But for fairness' sake, it should be mentioned that other brokers such as Ameritrade and Charles Schwab also restricted trading of GameStop stocks during the peak of the frenzy. So anyway, at some points during the GameStop frenzy, small investors, which of course includes most of Wallstreet Bet's side and none of the hedge fund side, were suddenly unable to make the moves they wanted to, which they weren't super happy about. So trading halts can happen when the market becomes really volatile, rising or falling by huge percentages very quickly. And such halts naturally cause annoyance to active traders. However, another layer was added to the GameStop halts as the restrictions imposed by Robinhood and other brokers essentially blocked the Wallstreet Bets side from trading while still allowing the big players like hedge funds to make their own moves. Of course, Robinhood and other brokers argued they were simply protecting the vulnerability of the market by requiring investors using leverage and derivatives in a volatile stock to have higher percentages of money in their brokerage account on the one end, and blocking users from buying GameStop during times of rapid growth. But for the members of Wallstreet Bets who had rallied behind Robinhood's vision of democratizing finance for all, shutting down trading for the small guys while leaving it open for the hedge funds was like a stab in the back. Politicians and celebrities took Wallstreet Bet's side on the issue, including Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who tweeted, "This is unacceptable. We now need to know more about @Robinhood app's decision to block retail investors from purchasing stock, while hedge funds are freely able to trade the stock as they see fit." So, to recap, Wallstreet Bets is a Reddit community based on discussing investments. Recently, a movement started on that community to drive up the price of GameStop shares so that hedge funds would take a hit. The movement gained popularity beyond Wallstreet Bets and really took off, succeeding in making several hedge funds lose tons of money. However, during the peak buying frenzy, Robinhood and other brokers blocked the Wallstreet Bets side while continuing to allow the hedge funds to make moves. The entire thing has caused a lot of controversy, and apparently Netflix already decided to make a movie about it. Alright, that brings us to our question for today. Will the power structure of the financial system change? We saw that Wallstreet Bets succeeded in dealing a huge financial blow to hedge funds, but in turn, we saw Robinhood, who professes the value of democratized finance for all, block the small guys' moves while leaving the hedge funds to continue acting freely. Leave your answer and your Phemex UID below, and we'll choose 5 lucky users to get a special trading bonus in 7 days. If you don't have a Phemex account yet, just click on the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. Create a Phemex account and you will get a 7-day free premium membership trial and other trading bonuses. To learn more about Phemex and cryptocurrencies, watch out the videos in the box on the left. And if you're new to the crypto world, have a look at the videos on the right for some of Phemex's user tutorials. Thanks for watching this video. Bye.